Welcome to the show Outside in Your Garden, presented by the Pleasantville Garden Club. The wind has died down, but this is a nice cold day, isn't it?
It's pretty chilly, isn't it, Gigi?
Yeah,
yes.
Here we are with Michael, and we're at, where are we?
We're at Shobha Vanchiswar's house again, and you came a little while ago to look at her green wall, didn't you? While she still had it.
Well, yes, it was too warm to plant bulbs, which is we're going to do today, but she was just taking the wall down. So should we look at that video?
Yeah, let's watch that little bit of video now.
Okay,
great.
All right, great. So here we are in October. We wanted to come back before Shobha took down her wall. Do you remember that we saw it in the springtime when she was just planting it? Right. And now it is beautiful, but it has to come in for the winter, right?
Yes. Ideally, I would like to keep it in the wall through the winter, but our winters have just changed so drastically. So we're at risk of losing a lot of the ferns because of, the freezing, the thawing, just that alone. And we cannot water. We cannot, it's all hydroponic. Right. And the water is circulated periodically throughout the day. And we cannot circulate the water if the temperature dips below 30.
Okay, because it freezes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is just, but even at 30 and a little lower, it should have been fine. But we just getting too many strange winters. So we take it out. I winter them over in one of the vegetable patches and then start again.
Right. And so, but the interesting thing is most of it lived. The ferns are beautiful. They're bigger than they are in my garden. But some of them didn't make it, which is interesting.
Yes. So these, we know it wasn't the water system that failed because in the same area, other things are still growing.
Right.
It was the heat wave we had, kind of periods of heat wave that were just awful for a lot of things. At that time, these bought it.
Okay.
So yeah, these I will get rid of.
Right, we won't do them again next year.
No, we can't.
What's beautiful are the heuchera over here that, do you always plant the same things or do you experiment here?
I usually only do ferns and heuchera because this is the north-facing wall.
Okay.
So it doesn't get as much sunlight.
Right.
And I didn't want something overly showy because this is not really, this is part of the driveway.
Right.
So I wanted something that was more lush and green, but the leaves, the foliage gives you that visual texture.
All the different colors. You've got the purple, the light green, the dark green, the dark purple.
And then when the heuchera bloom, it's rather pretty too.
Yes, because that's a pink flower.
Yeah,
right?
Some are white and some are pink.
Right.
So it's a very pretty thing. And
yes, it's beautiful.
These are not actual ferns. They're meant to grow only indoors, but I had seen them at T-Town's Plant Fest, so I had to get myself some. And these are all divisions actually from one plant.
So this is an experiment. Really this was an experiment this year.
Everything in my garden is always an experiment.
Okay, so.
I'm a scientist at heart.
Right.
So I will pot them up and keep them in the greenhouse to see if they're going to do okay.
Right. Yes.
And if they do, then very good. And if they don't, we learn.
We learn from it. That's what we learn.
Just like we learn about what kills certain ferns. And I think most of these were the painted ferns,
the Japanese
painted ferns. So, except some of these have done okay. So, we learn, and we can't control the weather. So
we can't control the plants either. Nature is nature, and we've just got to go with it. And you've done a beautiful job.
It looks so good when everything else is dying back.
Right.
The wall looks great.
So is it coming down this week or?
Yes, this week because the temperatures are dropping and I don't want to take it too far. It always breaks my heart to sort of dismantle it at this time when it looks so good. But this is the only way I can make sure that most of them will survive.
And it's easy. You just pull them out of those little pockets?
Well,
or not so easy?
We have to remove the staples that go below.
Okay.
Because sometimes the roots have now embedded themselves.
All right.
So it's not as simple.
No, it's a labor of love, like everything else in the garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to share this with everyone.
And we're happy
it's
you're
not
watching
as complicated as it looks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that was interesting, wasn't it, Gigi?
Yeah,
That wall really grew a lot, didn't it?
Oh, it's amazing.
She planted it with us in the spring.
Right.
Yeah.
She's so creative. And now today, so
Today she's going to show us how to plant bulbs, isn't she?
Yeah, lots of bulbs.
And she's got a really cool system her husband and her came up with using a little mini auger, which I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Good.
bring her out here.
Great. Okay, Shobha, thank you so much for hosting us again to
My pleasure.
teach us about planting bulbs. It's a really important part of the garden, isn't it?
And exciting.
And exciting.
And
yes.
exciting. I think of bulb planting as a real expression of our optimism and hope for a better tomorrow.
What a great thought. What a great thought. So we're at the top of your meadow here. And what bulbs have you got for us today?
These are the daffodils, the pheasant eye
lovely.
narcissus.
Yeah.
And they will be in this location because I do have them scattered in other parts of the garden.
Sure.
So I reserved these for us to do this today.
Okay, so let's see how you do it. Merle, you're here, your husband, Merle?
Yes, this is my husband, Merle.
Yeah.
My right hand, really. I could not do all the gardening that gets done without his help. I keep him in the background, but he really deserves his own spot.
And Merle, you've got this interesting little mini auger, haven't you, for digging bulbs?
Yeah, when you plant more than 1,000 every year,
Right.
I think this is a good investment.
It's a great investment, so I want to see this in operation.
The main thing to watch out for with this is when you hit roots, you just let it go. Otherwise, it's going to twist your arm.
Okay. So, Shobha, how deep are we going here for the daffodils?
So with each bulb, you plant 3 times the depth of the size of the bulb.
Yeah. And that generally applies to any kind of bulb,
Any
right?
kind of bulb.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we're planting like the big bulbs, like the alliums and
Yes.
things, we put the allium, and then some people call it the lasagna way. We do add soil over it and then add some small bulbs above,
Right.
so that we're using the same hole.
Oh, okay.
And then they all make their way
Way
up.
up. Yes.
But it's easier that way.
Yes.
Instead of trying to make those tiny holes for
the little
small
bulbs.
ones like
Yeah.
the muscari and
Snowdrops.
crocus and
Yeah.
snowdrops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the root.
And the root, okay.
Go down.
Yep. You just tuck it in, right?
Yes, I push it and
Push it
sort of
down
make sure
firmly.
it's firm.
Yep.
So there's no air space between.
Great.
Yeah.
Super.
This is a mix of compost and
yeah.
topsoil
And topsoil. Yep.
because you want to keep everything as organic as.
And then do you
As-
try to punch it down a little bit?
I do. I
and you
tamp
peel
it
it
down.
down? Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't want the little animals coming in
Right.
there, do you?
And what I've done in the meadow is
Yeah.
the bulbs that are planted in the meadow, for the most part, are all deer resistant.
Right.
Because we do have the woods in the back. We do get
So
deer.
no tulips.
Tulips in the front.
Front, yeah.
And for some reason, they've
That's
stayed
okay.
away all these years.
Keep our
So
fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
if
tell us a
I-
little bit about some of the other bulbs you've got in this meadow.
So in the meadow, we have, like I said, a variety of daffodils.
Yep.
It starts with the snowdrops.
Snowdrops, yeah.
The galanthus, the crocus, the scillas, hyacinthoids, the muscari, and then the daffodils, the alliums,
Yep.
the camassia, ornithogalum, and a variety of fritillaria.
Oh, that must be gorgeous.
It is,
Yeah.
and I keep, I would love to invest in a lot of the imperialis.
They're a little expensive.
They're very
Right.
expensive, so I just add a
I
little
bought
at a
5
time.
this year.
I bought 10.
Oh, you bought 10. You beat me.
5
Well done.
yellow, 5 orange.
Okay, I got 5 orange ones.
So we'll see. It would be
Yes.
great if they came up
Came
at the same time as the alliums, because the colors
Right.
would look stunning,
Fabulous.
but they don't
They
always
don't always
coincide,
work,
but they
no.
look great anyway.
Yeah.
So
I did the snake's head fritillary 2
Yes,
years ago,
I-
and they're fun as well.
They,
They're tiny,
I
but
have
they're really
tons
fun.
of them out
Yeah.
there and in between. And this year, actually, out front, I've experimented with the snake's head
Yeah.
along the path
That should be
on
interesting.
different. So it's an experiment.
Yeah.
Everything's an experiment. So I'm looking forward to that one working out.
Great.
So this is pretty much what we do out
Yeah.
here.
And this is how you do it for all your bulbs.
this is what we do. And because there's still leaves to come down, the leaves are just left in place. We don't rake the leaves in the meadow. So they add some protection, they're mulching, they return back to the soil, and it's easier for the bulbs to come up in the spring. So I want to say you can never have too many bulbs in the garden.
Yes.
You'd be surprised that the 25 that you thought were many disappear in the
Very
entire
quickly.
picture.
Yeah.
So plant as many as you can afford.
And I also think it's nice because they give you a nice start on the flower season.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It starts nice.
absolutely.
I start with my aconites and my
Yes,
galanthus
me too.
really early.
And I wait for them.
And February 14th this year, I'm wondering what date I'm going to get blooms next year.
Oh,
that
see,
was
I
so
didn't
early,
take
February
note.
14th.
It was early,
So
this,
early
year.
this year.
It was such a mild winter.
Such a mild winter.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get
Yeah.
a stronger winter this year.
I'm
and they'll be a little
keeping my
later.
fingers crossed. I
Hope
would
so.
like a real decent winter
Yeah.
this year.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. On that note, let's bring Gigi back in.
I
So-
thought that was really interesting. And when you talk about someone who only buys 20 bulbs, that's me. And I have a huge piece of property.
buy
Buy more, Gigi.
Buy more,
I'm
Gigi.
going to buy more.
Yeah, I'll come and help you plant, Gigi.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
This is on television.
Yes, it's on
Yeah, they're
television.
witnesses to this now.
Okay.
I noticed he didn't suggest that for me.
Thanks so
Shobha,
much.
thanks so much.
Thank
We really
you. This
appreciate
is so
coming
much
and
fun
visiting.
to share.
Yes.
And I know the next open day if your viewers want
Yes,
to come this year.
please.
It's the day of before Mother's Day. I think it's the 10th of May. Saturday, 10th of May.
It's the same as our Pleasantville Garden Club plant sale.
So they can do all
They
of
can
it.
do all of
Yeah. Yes.
They can come to the sale.
I think it's
and then they
also
can come to your
our
garden.
the Chappaqua
Yeah.
Garden Club plant sale may be that
Probably.
day too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
But
everything happening on the
You
same
get
day.
inspired by going to gardens because Rocky Hills is open on
The
that
day.
same. We share the same day,
Right.
Okay.
so they can be inspired by the gardens and buy all the plants they
Yes,
can
That's right.
find.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be great.
Okay, so this is our last show for the year. So thank you for watching Outside in Your Garden.
Bye for now.